What's up, family? It's your boy Totem. Figured it's time for the weekly scheduled walking the path programming. You know, that's what we're doing out here, just walking the path. Listen, a big super thank you to them Earth Angels, all the chosen ones, all the squad, tribe that's out there. Appreciate y'all. Love you all. Sending blessings every day to infinity and beyond. So I guess continuing like fashion, just start off with where we left off on the last go around. And I was really just, with the ending off with the Bufo session that I'd had at my first retreat, December 23rd to the 27th, I believe, would have been, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021. I'm confused on the years thinking back. One of those two, 2020 or 2021. I'll have to look at the dates on my photos. Get back with you on that. But shortly after, I'd say kind of the most pertinent information would have been my second retreat. And this was when a lot of the very profound visions and connections with my guides and extension of my past life experiences started to happen. And I believe this was my good friends Otrango, my brother, first time facilitating and helping to lead the circle. I'm not certain. We were still working with Pachamama Sacred Paths at the time. And I remember the angel numbers picking up quite significantly everywhere you look. 444, 1111, 555, big changes on the horizon. It's all different types, and even expanding to sets of numbers and rotations and patterns, and literally everywhere you look in the signs, like follow your heart, son, and Jesus is always with you, or all different types of beautiful messages everywhere you look. And speaking of, a little paw with a heart here, I have a feeling that a message from brother Bearheart, my Bear compadre spirit team who walks with me, helps protect all the tribe and the lineage, is going to come out in this message here. So get back to that. So really, this was my first deep introduction with Mama Aya. And I remember feeling it leading up to the retreat, feeling almost like I was very ethereal, very connected to that air energy, that Gemini energy. And as it got closer, it's almost like you were floating around. Like I was feeling like, hey, there's big things coming, son. Be prepared and prepare yourself. Ground and get ready. And one thing I wanted to touch on, which we haven't really spoken much on the last few Walking the Path episodes here, was the Hape and Sananga, as well as the Yopo, some additional medicines that we touch base with in ceremony. but I'll get to that as we proceed through the retreat experience for my second go-round. So Mama Aya started with an explanation that goes on where we explained to the participants. It was Andres at the time was leading circle, and Michael Burdick, along with Shane, my brother, who was also helping out to facilitate at the time with Pachamama Sacred Paths. The majority of us, which have split and gone our own way. Andres is still moving forward with Pachamama Sacred Paths, doing quite well. They have some different retreats going on right now currently, from what I understand. Happy for you, brother. Sending blessings your way. May Holy Grace smile down upon you. But Andres would call us up and talk to us about our intentions and have us put our intentions in the medicine, and would help to be the bridge from the higher realms and connect both his intentions as well with our intentions in the medicine and the intention of the circle and the ceremony, which is a beautiful thing. And remember on this ceremony right before we kind of went into the medicine, my brother would told me, like, go in deep tonight, send it. Don't be afraid, like, you got this, brother, I got you. I was like, all right, let's go. Still quite nervous after I wouldn't say lackluster, but not a whole lot of engagement with Mama Aya on my first go round. So still a little kind of worried about it, just kind of taking my time, and a little bit of nerves still there. Some butterflies, which is a beautiful thing. It means it matters to you, something you care about. So after drinking the first cup, sitting with the medicine while Andres sang the Icaros and led us on that trail, which kind of takes you into the deep recesses of yourself and helps to lead you along your journey, I began with another cup. They'll call up multiple rounds if you would like to continue with the medicine at that point. And I've always been told that if you hear them calling for another round, go to take it. Or if you're considering if you should have another round of medicine with the Aya, another cup, then you should take it. Because if you don't need another round, you won't even hear the call. So I do remember going to get a second cup, and I'm not sure if I had a third at this ceremony or not, but this was my first introduction with Yopo, which is, as I understand it, it's a ground seed from, I believe it's Central and South America, and it's black round seed that's ground down into a powder. There's a certain process which it's chemically cooked down with natural products, which would be fruits and the juice from those fruits, and dried. And it is a snuff that you would use either served through a curipe or a tepi, which is the ceremonial pipe that is used to serve snuffs from the facilitator to the participant up the nose, normally one nostril at a time. The curipe as well would be for self-serving administrations of medicine that are a powder, a snuff that you blow up your nose. Hape is a deep grounding medicine, which we use grandfather tobacco. It's normally made of ground mapacho, which is basically the most pure tobacco that you can get. A lot of times we'll have different additions to it, whether it's ayahuasca crystals or ash from different plants, or there's hundreds of different hapes. We have a long-running joke where you got problems at work, your girlfriend's cheating on you, you're sad and depressed, it doesn't matter, there's a hape for that. There's a hape for whatever you're going through. It's a big joke that we always had. continue to tell in ceremony when we do sit. And so I had never done any yopo before. I had done hape, which is a very grounding medicine. Almost feels like it's dropping an anchor from your heart and in the center of your being into Mother Earth. And you're the most in your skin and present that you've ever been in your entire life. It's like a lot of times we have a storm of emotions and different thoughts and things that are going on in our mind, the ego, the mind, thoughts. And it's difficult for us to find that presence, that sense of self beyond those, which is the experiencer of these things. And hape really slams you into that experience in a way that it's quite exhilarating if you ask me, but some people don't find it quite as pleasurable as I would like to think it is. Though, in my experience, probably 2 to 5 people out of 100 had adverse effects where they really disagreed with the hape internally, and it's very little chance of purge from my experience. On occasion, people will purge from the hape, which is throwing up from the medicine, and I have a few times when I've done very large doses in private servings to myself, and that's okay. We call the purge when there is negative or dense energies, pucha, different things, that density, emotions that you have kept inside of you, or experiences that you've never thought about or felt or dealt with, that need to come out of you, that need to be purged from your system for you to heal from them and to really see them and give it some thanks. Thank it for being with you, thank it for flowing, for leaving you, and thank it for going, and giving back to Mother Earth to be transmuted into some new growth and beauty in the world. And so my first 2 times with the ayahuasca, the first time, which I didn't really touch on, I believe there was a very light purge, but nothing too intense. And on this second go round, it was much, much more deep. And there was kind of almost some violent purging going on. Which I've always been told to really sit with the medicine when you're working with it and the discomfort, and have gratitude for that discomfort and that uncomfortability, that whatever you're going through, thank the medicine for it. That normally helps it to dissipate and helps you to not deal with as much discomfort. It's like the more grateful you are for the uncomfort that you're going through, the less uncomfortable it becomes. But the more you try to fight it and try to turn away and escape from the discomfort, it comes on like Niagara Falls, just thundering over you worse and worse and worse until you and let everything go that has been held up inside of you. So I had some pretty intense purge off of the Aya and started sinking into that space and really touching base with Mama Aya this time, but still not to the depth of which I was looking for. And they always had told us during ceremony, if you're not getting to the depth that you have been worried about or thinking about or wanting to get to with Mama, we have the yopo, which is like rocket fuel to your experience. And so after a little while, my brother and facilitator comes over and said, "Brother, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm okay, but think you could serve me some yopo?" He's like, yeah, of course, brother. So he goes and gets the yopo, his tepe, and brings it over to me, and we go through a same sort of breathing ritual and getting yourself ready and prepared for the serving of the medicine. And as I was served, it's a much different feeling than hape. It's almost like it coats your entire inside of your nose and your nasal cavity in like a calm, cooling experience. Speaking of, I just wanted to share this turquoise sign. Beautiful. I love my turquoise. I always keep some turquoise on. but it coats your inside almost of your nasal cavity and has almost like a quite calming effect right at first. Doesn't take you back like the hape does, which is burning, intense sensation. But as you sit with the yopo, it starts to build and to build. And in probably, I'd say, a minute to 5 minutes, it comes on like an avalanche, or like a thunderstorm that turns into an avalanche. And at first for me, it started as what felt like zebra waves of energy coming down and grounding into the physical plane, like vroom, of white and dark energy wrapped around each other in this spiraled and very much zebra pattern. And I could, see clearly through my third eye, through my both eyes. It was here in the physical realm as well as the ethereal, mixed in a very tandem experience. And as that started to build and build and build and build and get stronger and stronger and stronger, to it felt like I was in the middle of a hurricane or a tornado, but not in the eye, like I was in the most intense part of it. I kept remembering, thank you, Medicina. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Medicina. Thank you. What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to teach me? Thank you. When was the first time I felt this? Thank you. And then all of a sudden, in front of me was a powerful and majestic woman that looked as though she was almost like Groot, made of what looked like trees but energetic vines, and they were powering and shaking, and the hair was vines and like thundering energy, and green and blue, like these statues of Mother Earth that you would see in front of me, almost to the point where it was so powerful to see Mama Aya for the first time that I was a little scared, a little taken aback. Like, oh my gosh. But then she began to wrap her vines around me and my entire body and picked me up into what was like a big cradle, like a baby cradle, and was rocking me and started leading me through different memories from my childhood, and like holding my consciousness's hand, my younger self, and walking me through. It was like a long hallway almost, is what it felt like. And at each door she would stop and say, "You see, son, look over here," and it would be me seeing my parents yelling, or me sitting with my brother watching Digimon on early mornings, or just all kinds of different experiences. Me playing in my backyard, tripping or falling or hurting myself, or one was when I was at my elementary school, or before that was I believe grammar number 2 in Elko. I got in a fight with some kid and got beat up sort of, and got like held down and felt like I couldn't do anything at all. And there was this experience like that had sat with me in my consciousness for a long time, even in dream states, until like my early adulthood, where I would have these experiences and it felt like I was not able to complete or to respond to anything, like I was unable. And she would walk me through these experiences and show me how they were reflecting in fractals into my current experiences, and how me holding on to these energies was what was creating the experiences in my life that was making me to go through them again, to go through different experiences that made me feel that way. It's quite astounding. It's so unbelievable that you forget about this earth, this plane, this entire experience. It's a timeless, eternal connection that you have always had and will always have with the divine. It's just touching space with that to remember again. And then shortly after kind of these experiences happened, this is all probably in a few minutes on the Yopo while this is happening. Very, very intense. Then all of a sudden, these light beings, literally humanoid beings made of light, start landing around me as though they're falling from the sky. Like boom, 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 boom. Probably 7 or 8 of them. Like 3 in the front, and probably a few on each side of me, 3 to 4, something like that. I don't know. They were surrounding me from the sides and the front, and as they all landed, I basically jumped and got scared and like, oh my gosh, and recoiled back into myself and my little shell like a turtle would when he was scared. And I remember very clearly the ones that were in front of me, probably 3 or 4 of them, turned and like took off. It was almost like fuck this, he's not ready in this lifetime, forget it. And Mama Aya, she told me, son, relax. This is what we are doing here. This is what all this is for. Just relax. I got you. I will hold your hand. I will take you through all of this. We're going to be just fine. Which allowed me to really center and relax into the experience and basically let go. And at that point, there's not a whole lot that I can consciously remember. I felt like they were doing some sort of spiritual surgery on me or my being, whether it was my light being or my physical being or both. And I can clearly remember that it felt like the grandmother energies, the mother energies. Thank you, great mother. Love you so much. Thank you, Ma Durga. Om Dum Durgaya Namaha. Oh, Ma Takwiyas. Oh, Ma Takwiyas. Gracias. And that was kind of the extent of me, or my experience for that second night of ayahuasca. Much more intense than my first experience, that's for certain. But beautiful. And I'm so very thankful for all of the work, all of the healing, all of the guidance, the trust, the grace that was brought to me that night. Thank you, great mothers. It is an honor. I hope to always walk in your honor in the beauty way. And so then it really moves to from there, to we do sharing circle, obviously, which I'm not going to get into. That's private information, and that's where it's going to stay. But I will share that those experiences did occur, just to continue with kind of the understanding of the process. I like to share as much as I can with you guys. Just if you ever plan on doing circles or having medicine ceremonies yourself, I'd like to share my experience and kind of what we do, what I have done. And I hope that you guys do as well with all those you work with and with myself. So we would have sharing circle normally in the morning as we would have like a fresh pressed juice. And some circles like to do it like right after the experience, normally 3-4 in the morning or something like that, when everybody's kind of coming out of the medicine. I personally prefer in the morning, but I do understand why they like to do it at night. A lot of times it's more fresh and you remember more clearly what had happened. So we have sharing circle, and then we're going to go into Niños the second day. And this was again quite possibly the craziest experience of my life up to this point, which seems to happen a lot with the medicines as you go along your healing journey. And this one was astounding, the strength at which my experience occurred. And I believe I did 3.5 or 3.6 grams of dried cubensis as a lemon tech tea, just how we do it. You know, you grind them up into a fine powder and then soak them in lemon juice for normally 15-30 minutes. And you'll make it as a tea, a warm liquid. You can use tea if you like, or a different kind of liquid. We normally just use hot water. And because especially if you're doing it post ayahuasca, you still have an MAOI inhibitor in your system. Again, I'll touch on this in case nobody had watched, or somebody who's listening had not watched the last video. It will make, just with the lemon tech, it makes the concoction, the drink, the tea, normally about twice as strong. And with the MAOI inhibitors on your system, normally looking about 4 to 8 times, probably about 4 times as strong. So it like quadruples the strength. And what you're doing with the lemon tech, the lemon juice, is it's changing the psilocybin into psilocin, starting the metabolic process within your body before you have to ingest it. So it makes the drink a lot stronger, but the experience a shorter duration. So as I ingested the lemon tech tea, we would go through the 3 hours of silence as we go into the experience. I wasn't that clear in the last explanation, so I wanted to go ahead and clear that up a little bit. It's 3 hours of silence as you enter the experience, to give everybody a chance to really touch base with their inner selves and go as deep as possible with their inner child, that version of themselves, and to allow anything to come up that would need to. So as I went into my experience, I remember feeling like I was trapped in a prison. No matter where I turned, if I was facing up, if I was at the ground, if I was everywhere I was trapped. And I was uncomfortable, and I couldn't find my center, and I was miserable the entire time. And, you know, all such a strong experience that I can barely understand what's going on around me. The medicine is coming on so strong. So again, very much like a whirlwind of energy. And if you've ever done strong Niños, you have sort of an idea of what I'm talking about. Everything is spiraling and spinning and sparkling, but in this very dark, dense nature. And then, so I remember, like, talk to your younger self, ask him, how are you, what are you doing, what's going on, you know. So I asked him, hey, what's up, buddy? And all of a sudden I can see within myself, in my heart of hearts, that there's this little boy who's in what literally looks like a dark dungeon, where there's nothing but like dust kind of settling down, and there's a tiny bit of light filtering through the cracks of what look like a barred window that is completely covered and shuttered down, except for like a tiny crack and crevice which is allowing in some light, and he is in there just screaming with everything he had. And I said, hey buddy, and are you, it's like as soon as I started to talk, it was just, I couldn't even get close to him with any connection, with any talk, with anything, with any emotion. So I just sat down next to him, and I sat for a while with him, and eventually I felt like I heard some dogs, some children playing around, and excuse me. And he kind of peeked up at me, and I said, hey buddy, you doing okay? And he kind of shook his head at me, teary-eyed. But I could tell he kept like looking around as to where was the dog sounds or the kids playing coming from. And he said, hey, you want to go play maybe? And he nodded at me and like jumped up, came over to me. I said, I love you, buddy. And whatever happened to you, just know that I am thankful for you. And I will always be here for you for anything that you need. You can always come to me if you need anything. I will never leave your side. You know, just letting him know that he was okay. And I would be there to protect him. And he wrapped me up in the tightest little hug. At that point, I kind of came out of the experience, and it was like people were starting to get up and walk around and go outside. And we always tell you that you can do whatever you want. Like, don't try to be so quiet that you're not stepping or not getting up or not doing anything. But just be respectful and try not to speak around others so they can do their internal work. So I get up and I go outside, and there's a lot of people out on the lawn and kind of walking around with the trees and the birds and everything going on outside. And I go and lay on the lawn outside out front. Actually, it was out back at the retreat center that we had. And I can't remember where it was in the mountains. San Martin, that's where it was, I believe. But it was a beautiful sprawling kind of estate where there was a lot of land, some deer that were always walking around, a big grassy knoll area with trees around and shrubbery. And I went and laid out on the lawn out there, and I was again very much in that space of being uncomfortable. Everywhere I tossed and turned, it was just miserable and nasty, and I couldn't get comfortable. Then all of a sudden I was kind of laying in between the shade and the sun so I could get the best of both worlds, just trying to find my comfort. And then it felt like the sun literally descended down upon me and was hanging above me, like I don't know, it felt like 10 feet above me. The sun was sitting there just shining, but in a warm sense, like a warmth, not like it was too hot. It was a beautiful feeling, like just golden prana showering down upon you. That good ass prana, baby. And I was just sitting there, and I hear this like a bird call, and then it was one of the most profound experiences of my life at that point. You know, I'll continue to say that probably, but as I lay on the ground, I hear that, and then all of a sudden, a being of bright white blue light, boom, slams down into my heart of hearts from what seemed like an eternal space, drops down with a staff on his back and a falcon head of blue white light, and covered in golden and white light armor all over his entire body. And I realized it was the Egyptian god Horus. And he steps up and begins to kind of circle and walk around me. And as this is happening, I start having visions of what seems like a great battle, like flying through the air and like hitting beings. And then I start having flashes to inside the pyramid in these rooms, and like sex rituals or different very intense scenes kind of flashing through my eyes. And then like great power looking like almost like lightning, but not necessarily through a physical 3D, but like a 5D sense of like energy powering down into these experiences. But they were coming in just flashes, like one of those little picture books you would watch as a kid, but different experiences. They weren't the same ones. Like each different page was a different memory. And I was just, and all of a sudden I hear, remember who you are. Remember who you are. And it starts to say, like, is this me? Is this a part of who I am? Is this a part of my experiences? And at that point I was very much of like, still not feeling good enough, still not feeling like I was anything. Who am I to be so divine? Who am I to have any experiences like this? Who am I to have past lives in Egypt? Who am I to have been a being that could transcend our physical laws that we experience right now? Who am I to live again? You know, and I start questioning myself, and as I do, the experience starts to fade. And so remember who you are, brother. Remember who you are. And as that's happening, he reaches the staff, as these memories are fading, he reaches the staff over towards me and holds it out towards me. And I almost like, out of a fear response, a lack response, I go to reach out and grab it real quick to try to snatch it away from it. And as soon as I do, he yanks it back. He said, almost like, no. He said, remember who you are. So I like center myself and I start going back and feeling these memories. And as I do, I see the woman that I was with in the life walk up to me and she said, "Hey, Bluebird, are you okay?" And that is actually how I got my first medicine name, besides the one that was given to me from my grandmother, Carol Whitewater Dawn, who told me when I became a man, I would be running wolf. I used to be out running fox when I was a young kid. But when I had the memory, she said, "Hey, Bluebird, you okay? You made it back?" And then I had flashes again of turning into like a blue falcon and flying around and like shape-shifting and flying through space. And as that happened, I looked down and the staff was in my hand. I was already holding it. I just had to remember who I was. It's hard to talk about these experiences. They bring up such emotion in you when you have these past life revelations. And it's one of the ways that I've learned to accept them, is that they're as influential to me as any experience I've had in this life. It helps me to remember the beauty and the magic and the sacredness of what we are. Alright, I think that's all I got for today, y'all. Always an honor and holy grace. Your brother, Matthew, Maverick, Madashahe, Idayahe, Running Wolf, Brother Bear, Blue Bird, Xavier Sky Iron, Eagle Eye, Iron Dog, White Buffalo, Thunderbird, Steel Miller. A little out of order there, but you guys will all hear the names and the experiences from which led me to receive them from Great Spirit as we go on along the journey. Till next time, your brother. I love you, family. Thank you.